Call a special call meeting of the Rockwood City Council to order. Please call the roll.
Councilman Anderson.
Here.
Councilman Bryant.
Here.
Councilman Fuller.
Here.
Councilman Holloway.
Here.
Councilman Jolly.
Here.
Councilman True.
Here.
Mayor Miller.
Here. All present. We do have a quorum. First item of business is that the determination was that limited access and live streaming are necessary to protect the public health and safety. That's the reason we're doing this meeting in this form. As you'll see, we've tried to keep everyone 6 foot apart. There's no public allowed, and that's the reason we're doing it live on BBB, and we appreciate them accommodating and helping us with that tonight. So that's the reason we're doing it in this way. And that was the act approved, executive order number 16 from Governor Lee. Okay, first item of business is approval of airport hangar lease resolution 2006. What this is a lease to lease our 60 by 60 hangar for the purpose of operating an aircraft sales service and rental company, and it providing flight instruction services, including private and commercial pilot instruction. It will bring in an additional $1,100 a month. Do I hear a motion it be approved?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Jolly. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Anderson. Councilman Jolly.
I'd just like to thank David for all his hard work he's put into this and bringing some additional revenue to the city and helping the airport maintain itself a little better with the extra income.
Councilman Anderson. Anyone? We have had Mr. Lefevue go over this, make sure the lease is like it needs to be. And the reason that I want to put this on the agenda is because they'd like to get started by April 15th. Any further discussion? Call a roll.
Councilman Anderson.
Yes.
Councilman Bryant.
Yes.
Councilman Fuller.
Yes.
Councilman Holloway.
Yes.
Councilman Jolly.
Yes.
Councilman True.
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. Next item is approval of Public Works Director. As y'all are aware, Hugh Lee Odell retired after 35 years of service. We needed to get someone in place, and I found a guy by the name of Ricky Crawford. You have his resume in front of you. He's the second man in command at Kingston. He lives at Tarwater Street in Rockwood. I've checked him thoroughly, talked to a lot of people. Matter of fact, Tim Clark, when I talked to him about it, he called me and said, "You're nothing but a thief." He said, "You've got an excellent guy. He'll do a great job." Everyone that you talk to is really high on him, and I'd like to recommend Ricky Crawford as our new Public Works Director. What's the will of the council?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Holloway. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Fuller. Councilman Holloway.
I just want to echo what you said there. I talked to a few people in Kingston, and they really respected him, said he did an outstanding job. They hated to lose him, and like I said, he's a local guy, that helps us too. So it'd be good to have him on board.
Councilman Fuller.
His resume looks great, looks like he's perfect for this job, so it's good that he lives in Rockwood also.
Anyone else?
I just like to say,
Councilman Jolly.
I hate to see you leave. I know he's been here a long time. I appreciate what he's done for us, and looking forward to new beginnings with Mr. Crawford.
Anyone else? I'd like to end it up by saying that Hugh Lee did an outstanding job for a long time. 35 years is a long time to work anywhere. He did a great job. He made a lot of improvements to our town. He had a lot of expertise on a lot of different items that we had done in this town, and we're going to miss Hugh Lee. But I think Mr. Crawford will do a fine job, and I'd like to welcome him on board. Any further comments? Call roll.
Councilman Anderson.
Yes.
Councilman Bryant.
Yes.
Councilman Fuller.
Yes.
Councilman Holloway.
Yes.
Councilman Jolly.
Yes.
Councilman True.
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. Thank y'all for the support. Next item on the agenda is approval to hire firefighter, resolution 20-08. As y'all know, Randy Kirby is retiring, and Matt needs to get someone in place. You can see his resume there, and this is the recommendation of our fire chief, Matt Crabtree. And that would be my recommendation. What's the will of the council?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman True that it be approved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Jolly. Councilman True.
I spoke to Chief Crabtree, and he believes that Mr. Hill will be a good hire for our fire department. So I'm in favor of it.
Councilman Jolly.
I'd echo Councilman True, and also, like I say, I appreciate what Randy's done for us, and he'll be missed.
Any further comments? I'd just like to say that Randy Kirby has been a valuable employee to this city for a long time in a lot of different capacities. If y'all remember, serving as council member. But he did an outstanding job, and we're tickled that Randy's gonna have a good retirement and be able to enjoy himself. But again, we appreciate everything Randy Kirby's done for this city in a lot of different capacities. Anything further? Call roll.
Councilman Anderson,
Yes.
Councilman Bryant,
Yes.
Councilman Fuller,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Councilman Jolly,
Yes.
Councilman True,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. Next item is approval appointment of councilman to Airport Committee Resolution 20-09. I'd like to recommend that we appoint Shane True to the Airport Steering Committee for a term of April 3rd, 2020 through November 30th, 2020. What's the will of the council?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Jolly. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Holloway. Councilman Jolly.
I'm just looking forward to having Councilman True serve on the committee. I'm on that committee, and he'll have some great expertise for out there.
Councilman Holloway.
I just think you'll do a good job on the committee, Mayor.
Anyone else? I just like to say that I wanted Shane to serve on this because I think it's very, very important. There's a lot of things going on at that airport since we took it back over, and I think Shane will do a tremendous job on it, and I know he's gonna put a little more work on him, but he'll just have to get used to it, because I think we got the votes to put him on there. Anything further? Call the roll.
Councilman Anderson.
Yes.
Councilman Bryant,
Yes.
Councilman Fuller,
Yes.
Councilman Holloway,
Yes.
Councilman Jolly,
Yes.
Councilman True,
Yes.
Mayor Miller.
Yes, and the ayes have it. And for those that are watching on TV, Councilman Anderson was just aggravating Councilman True, I guarantee you. Okay, next item, I wanna tell you all that today we got a call, and something that we've been waiting on for a long time. Tar water will be paved probably in the next couple of weeks. They've called and they're gonna be doing some work in the county. They wanted, matter of fact, I called them this evening, they left word with Miss Rupi, and I called them before we met. They think in the next 2 weeks, they'll start paving it, because they wanna do it, coincide it with what the county's doing. So that's a big project that we needed to get done, and y'all have worked extremely hard trying to get it done. So I feel fortunate on that we're able to do it. Just want to bring you up to date on that. The next item I want to bring up was I wanted to go over with y'all, just give you an update of where we are. I know Miss Rupi's been emailing you and telling you what we're doing on this COVID-19. As y'all know, the governor today signed another executive order, 23, I think was the number on it. And what it basically, if you know 22 or whatever one he did before, just basically recommended everybody stay at home, please stay at home. Today he made it mandatory. So some of the things I will tell you could change, but I wanted to let you all know and the public know that what we are doing right now, I think we've moved very rapidly on it. It's been on our website. Every time we do something, it will be on our website. Ms. Rupi, make sure that it's updated and all this is on there. City Hall is closed to the public. Clerks are working on a rotating basis, but someone is always present to conduct day-to-day business. Payments can be made online or may be dropped in a night drop. And if you need services or have issues that need to be dealt with by a person, such as property tax, citations, cash payments, building permits, etc., all you need to do is call the number 354-0611 and we'll make sure you get assisted. City court is canceled until further notice. If no appearing in person, What we're doing is, the judge is doing some of it by phone. But that's basically how we're working that, and that's the option that she picked too. Police and fire offices are closed to the public, but we still take calls during regular business hours. Obtaining a report or scheduling needs to see an officer can be arranged by calling 354-3388 during regular business hours. And if you have an emergency, you know to call 911. But we are still operating both of those departments, just like always. They're essential service, and we're doing it the way it needs to be done. Rockwood Library is closed to the public. Staff is available from 10 to 3, Monday through Friday, to assist with library needs. Basically, you just call in advance, they'll get your book ready. That may change after what the governor did today. We may be closing our library. Don't know that for sure. We're waiting till his order comes down. We tried to print it off before this meeting, and it was not available. So that may be one thing that we change from what we're doing today. The Rockwood Garage is closed to the public until further notice. Employees are divided into 2 groups. We have been alternating them daily. I think starting Monday, we're going to start doing it by week. So the one crew will work 1 week, then they'll be off a week until this is over. So that's how we're doing it up to this point. Park and Recreation, the community center is closed until further notice. Complex is open for walking. Gates are closed at night. Baseball and softball, as y'all know, has been canceled. Park and Recreation staff will keep parents informed if practice and games are rescheduled for a later date. I do want to say we have been meeting and talking with the other communities about if later on in the summer it becomes available. What we might do is just try to have the cities have a league to give these kids an opportunity to play. Dixie Youth, I'm sure, probably won't be able to do anything. So what we may do, if we get the opportunity, and nobody knows at this time, is that we'll try to take the cities and have a league for these kids and let them travel around, play each other and things like that, and then maybe have a tournament at the end of the year, and we'll split the tournaments up among the cities. So like 5 and 6 year old maybe at Rockwood, 7 and 8 at Harriman, that type of thing. But it all depends on how this goes from here on. But I just want to let you know we are looking into that. Rockwood Forest Trails is open for walking. Tennis courts and ball courts are closed until further notice. Brickyard Springs courts and ball field are closed. And Tom Fuller Park is open for fishing and boating. Social distancing, though, is encouraged. The golf course is open, but we have some rules at the golf course. And we didn't just invent these. We call Willow Creek, some other golf courses to get this. 1 person per cart. The only way you can have 2 people in a cart is if they live in the same household. And carts are cleaned and sanitized before and after each use. Again, social distancing is enforced. The airport, we're open in limited hours, staff available upon request when not present. Garbage collection. If it's not in a bag, they will not pick it up. That's the rules anyway, but until this happened, they were pretty good about doing it. But if it's not in a bag, they will not pick it up. So the bag should be inside the garbage cans, and they'll take care of getting it. They're still running Mondays and Tuesdays, 1/2 of the town on Monday, the other half on Tuesdays. So I just want to make sure no loose garbage will be picked up. I wanted to go over what the water, sewer, and gas, they're continuing to assist customers during the usual workday by phone. New customers are served by email, applications online, or hard copies can be picked up at the night drop at City Hall. Our clerks can direct those new customers and make sure we assist in services promptly. They're encouraging you to pay online and things like that. I want to let you know on that. REU, the office is closed. As you know, to the public, no entrance, but we are doing everything through the drive-through. New services, payments, and everything through the drive-through. Someone will be there to answer the phone, unless this changes after what the governor did today, so we'll look at that. But right now, we're still running the same. You can make your payments. The only difference we have on new services, in the old way, when you came in, we told you to take a seat. Now we tell you to take a parking place. And we set it up that way. And it's worked very well. We're doing that at both the Rockwood office and the Kingston office at this time. So, again, some of that could change after what happened today. We have a letter that Ms. Ruppy has got prepared. I signed it after the governor did that today. I signed it just a few minutes ago. And what it basically is, we're going to give to all our employees that are essential. That gives them the option to move around and travel around and do things in case someone stops them and asks them why they're out. So we have that letter ready, and we will get it to all our employees that are essential. I wanted to let y'all know that we have met once and have talked numerous times with the other city mayors. I appreciate Mayor Neal, Mayor Best. We've tried to do things together in conjunction to make it easier on all of us. And boy, they've been really, really good to work with, and I appreciate them. They know if they need anything, we'll do it, and they feel the same way. They'll help us any way they can. So we've worked real good with them. We met with Mayor Woody once and went up there to, when the governor had his first conference call, he asked for us to meet up there, so we listened to it up there. One thing I'd like to say to the citizens, this is a very, very tough time, and it's hard on everybody. But if we want to get out of this, we're going to have to do what the governor's asked us to do. And that's we got to stay at home unless it's essential. It's tough on our restaurants, it's tough on our bars, it's tough on everybody. But we have got to do what he asked us to do, because if you listen to it, when they say on TV that they think they've done well if they keep the deaths in the United States below 200,000, think about that a minute. 200,000 people. And they think they've done well if we keep it below that. This is a very contagious thing, and it's very, very dangerous. And I'm asking all our citizens, if you don't need to be out, please don't. Because this is a tough situation for all of you. It's okay to get out in the yard and walk around and do things like that. But if you don't need to be out, please stay away from people. Please do what the CDC says about social distancing. That is very, very important, because if you read what everybody's saying, it's proven it works. It works. So that's all I have tonight. Just wanted to go over those things with you all. Wanted to make sure everybody in Rockwood, citizens of Rockwood, know they have any questions on our website, and they can still call and we'll answer. Does any councilman have anything they'd like to say or address at this time before we leave tonight?
I'd just like to ask you about tar water.
Okay.
Is there anything that we're gonna have to go back and address, since it's been a while? You know, we spent all that money and work down there, and we went through the winter basically and didn't get it done. Has anybody looked at that, or will somebody?
Yes, and I told the guy from Duracat today that we'll set it up when Ricky gets his feet on the ground starting Monday. He starts to work Monday, that we'll get him and Mikey with them to go over that and look at it, make sure we do it right, because you know we talked about when we paved it, we wanted to slope it to make sure we got it towards those new drains that we put in. So yes, they will be meeting, hopefully the first of next week. But we talked to Ricky about it, Miss Ruppy and I did, and Mike, we met before we met to talk to them about that and make sure that they know they need to get with them and make sure we do it right.
That's all I have.
Anyone else? I appreciate you, councilman, for being so cooperative and helping me with this, because you never think as a small town mayor that you'd ever have to make these kind of decisions. And it's been tough, and Miss Rupi has been keeping me updated. Sends me email after email every day. And again, I'm staying in touch with Mayor Neal and Mayor Best, trying to make sure that we try to stay on the same track. But it's really tough, and I do appreciate y'all's support, and we'll get through this. We will get through this. But we just got to do exactly what they tell us to do, and our citizens have got to do what they tell us to do. And it's our job, in my opinion, and I've told our department heads is, we need to lead by example. Because they'll follow if we'll do it. So, again, I don't know about the enforcement. The governor said today, I watched his news conference, he said that he would have something more on that, I think, tomorrow, about enforcement of what we need to do, but we need to do it on our own. A lot of it's just going to be our responsibility as citizens to do what's right if we want to keep this death toll down as much as we can. So I think they announced today 32 dead in the state of Tennessee. Cases went up about 300 or 400 today. So we just need to be vigilant and keep going and doing what's right. Okay? Is there anything else needs to come before the council tonight? Any other comments? Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Holloway. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman True. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank y'all.
Hear ye, this Honorable Commissioners meeting of Roane County, Tennessee is now in session. Honorable Chairman Randy Ellis presiding. God bless these United States, the great state of Tennessee, and this honorable meeting. At this time, please remain standing as we have Alan Hickman, Commissioner, lead us in prayer. Afterwards, the pledge to the allegiance.
Let us pray. Eternal wise God, our Father in heaven, we bow before your presence right now, Father God, to say thank you, Father. We thank you for this day that you allowed our eyes to see. It's a blessing and a wonderful privilege that we don't take for granted, realizing that some laid down last night and didn't arise this morning, Father. Father God, we thank you that we can gather in this room, Father God, to conduct ourselves in a Christ-like attitude, Father God. Just conducting the county's business, Father God, in high standards and morals, Father God. We ask that you lead us throughout this meeting tonight, Father, that we keep in mind those who couldn't come out tonight, Father God, that we're acting on one accord, Father God, to make our neighbors, our family, and our friends, to make this a better place for us all, Father. Bless us and keep us in your care. It's in Christ Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. If you have a cell phone, please adjust the volume. Thank you.
We're having some connection issue. Let's give us 1 moment. While they're getting that ready, I want to speak for a few of us here. Was at the Tennessee County Service Association Conference, I believe it was Monday and Tuesday, and the few of us that was there come away thinking a lot more about how fragile life was than when we first went there. We were stuck there within the tornado. Some of us could watch it from our rooms, and getting out of there, then seeing the devastation left in its path was, you just had to be there to witness what happened. And me and Commissioner White was on the phone at 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, of all the politicians there, it's probably the most biggest rededication of life amongst politicians in the United States at 1 o'clock in the morning. But it was, let you know, like I said, how fragile life was, and let's please keep those families in Middle Tennessee in our prayers. Okay. While he's working on that, we're just gonna go ahead and do it the old-fashioned way. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bell,
Aye.
Barry,
Here.
Rushiers,
Here.
Cunningham. Here. East.
Here.
Ellis.
Here.
Gann,
Here.
Hendrickson,
Here.
Hester,
Here.
Hickman,
Aye.
Hooks,
Here.
Meadows,
Here.
Moore,
Here.
White,
Here.
Wilson,
Here.
15 present.
Declaring a quorum present, we'll move ahead to approval of minutes of the February 10th, 2020 meeting. Motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Bashir. Commissioner Moore.
I have none to add.
Commissioner Bashir.
No further comment.
Any other questions or comments on the approval of minutes February 10th, 2020? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Minutes have been approved. Moving along to acceptance of committee reports and correspondence. Motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Berry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just I guess a typo on report number 4, where we had Jerry White making the motion and seconding the motion, so we probably just need to correct the information on that. On number 10, on the Roane County Environmental Board, I guess they are doing that at number 11, same thing, Mr. Ray, I guess on their reports. Are you going to cover any of those? Just regular reports.
Just regular reports.
And on number 12, talking about the jail report, it said we had 228 on February 18th of 20. And our average daily population from August 1st, 19 to February 18th, 20 was 205. I didn't know if that was,
207 this morning.
but that goes back to August, so I didn't know if that was correct or what, but I thought that was an interesting thing that we averaged 205 for the last 6 months. And on number 19, I was just curious there if we needed to do anything, or is that the Planning Commission's responsibility on that?
It's the planning commission's responsibility.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments on acceptance of committee reports and correspondence? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Committee reports has been accepted. Moving on to notaries, Madam Clerk.
We've got 8. Donna R. Cackwood, Christy D. Hughes, Courtney Johnson, Erica L. Jones, Jeffrey L. Mize, Christina Matthew Richardson, Christina D. Smith, and Susan E. Thomas.
Motion by Commissioner Hendrickson, second by Commissioner Hester. Commissioner Hendrickson.
I just appreciate everything they're doing, willing to serve.
Commissioner Hester. Any other questions or comments on the notaries? Seeing that by law we have to elect these, ladies and gentlemen, as notaries, could you please call the roll, please?
Bell,
Aye.
Barry,
Yes.
Rushiers,
Yeah.
Cunningham. Yes. East,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Gann,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Hester,
Yes.
Hickman,
Aye.
Hooks,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
15 yes.
The notaries have been elected. Moving along in our agenda, this is where we come to hearing a delegation. This is an opportunity for the citizens of Roane County to address your legislative bodies, the county commission. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and please step to the podium here and state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Kintz. My address is 743 Bowman Bend, Merriman. First, I have a question. This is my first time addressing the group. Are you allowed to answer questions, or is this just one way?
Correct. This is just comments toward the commission.
Comments only. Okay. I live on the west side of Watts Bar Lake, across from the proposed Kingston Point development. We were blindsided, I say we, I'm talking about myself and a lot of my neighbors, people up and down the lake and people who live south of Kingston Point were blindsided when we found out in February that Kingston Partners had purchased this land, so we were told, and that they were planning to put in this massive, extremely high-density development there, a combination of commercial property and residential property. 85 houses on tiny little lots, a 200-site RV park, and on and on and on, and 400 boat slips out on 12 docks extending 100 yards out into the main channel of the lake. This is very upsetting to us because this is not what the neighborhood is like. And we're all neighbors of this place. Typical neighbors there have a single-family home on an acre of land. So the population density is roughly, one household per acre or less. They're talking about a population density of up to 11 households per acre. Imagine what that would do. And then there's the extra 400 boats that they're planning to put on this relatively small section of Wattsbar Lake. Well, we were surprised by this, and I'm talking about myself and everybody that in our area we've talked to. And our first concern is why didn't we hear about this sooner? You all, I think, are our representatives, and we think that we should have been informed better about what was going on. Here's where I would have asked the question, which you can't answer. Kingston plans to annex this land. They've had to revise their annexation resolution, and the first reading of that will be tomorrow. My question would have been, which you can't answer, but it still is, do you have a say in whether they can annex this property or not? Because if Kingston can't annex the property, the development probably won't happen. And it's not that we're totally opposed to development here. We just don't want such an extremely high-density development that doesn't fit in with, the natural landscape. Then there was a lot of concerns about the legacy hazardous waste from Oak Ridge, and then the waste that came out of the steam plant. So there are a lot of concerns about that. They're going to probably have to dredge deeply on that side of the lake to put in all these boat slips. So my question would have been, could Roane County or can Roane County interfere with this annexation? And is there a way to do that? Because we think that would really slow down the process. We also have some questions about the legality of the annexation because the property they want to annex is not contiguous with their current city limits. So let's see if there's anything else I need to say. The final thing, and please take this with all due respect, myself and some of our group have made multiple attempts to contact this body, both county executive, Mr. Woody, and to various members of the council, and we have had no response. I've spoken with you on the phone twice.
I've never received a call.
I've spoken with you twice.
You are the only one who has spoken with me. I was referring to Mr. Woody.
I've never received a call from you all.
No, it wasn't a call, it was a contact on your website through your email on the website. And another of our group, Mr. DeRocha, by the way, he's made multiple attempts to contact county commissioners. Yes, Mr. Ellis, I do appreciate our conversations, but the last thing you said was you had one more person to talk to.
Right. And as soon as you finished, I was going to get back with you right now.
All right, that was 2 weeks ago and haven't heard anything. I also contacted John Shaw with the Environmental Review Board to see if he would get involved in looking at the environmental aspects of this. That's been over 2 weeks and I've had...
So you contacted John Shaw?
I did.
Did you speak with him? Or
by email, and he's been unresponsive. Now, just so you don't think we're just a fringe minority here that are interested in this, we started a petition drive a few days ago now, and we already have 103 people in a few days who are adamantly opposed to the current design of this thing. Now, we're going to be the neighbors, so if our opinion doesn't count, Whose does?
Well, I'm gonna go above and beyond and break one of my own rules. I did speak with you, and the best that I can gather, of course, I'm not an attorney, we can refer to attorney, there's nothing we can do to stop an annexation. And like I had referred to you before, the proper steps for that would be, there's, I believe, 2 public hearings within the city. Have you all been to that hearing to speak before or against that the first time?
We went to the first reading, but they've had to revise the resolution because they've added more.
Did they let you speak, though?
We didn't want to speak at the first meeting because we weren't ready.
Okay.
We're planning to speak tomorrow night.
Okay.
They had the first reading of the resolution, but they've had to redo the resolution because they got the parcel numbers wrong. They have to split the property up. And by the way, now they're planning to annex TVA property, not just the private properties. They're planning to annex the TVA shoreline, even in the special sensitive environment area. So, you know, when we talked on the phone, when I first asked you if there was a way to stop it, the first thing you said was, gave me the impression that once they had a first reading, there's nothing can be done.
Now, that's the process. It goes to the first reading, then the second reading, then they vote on it. At any one of those readings, the commission, I mean, the council can stop it at any which one of the
City council can.
county commission cannot.
So there's nothing the county commission can ever do to stop an annexation.
If you want to get with the county attorney at a later date, after this meeting, Mr. Lefty right here, all the research that I have conducted, hold on a second, all the research that I conducted, the county cannot do nothing about it.
Chairman Ellis, Mr. Wood. Yeah, if I may add to that just briefly, is annexation laws changed a number of years ago. They can only be annexed if you request annexation. So a city does not have the authority to go out and annex property like they used to because they wanted it to be in their growth. You can only have annexation now if the property owner requests it. So this has been at the request of the property owner.
Yes.
And that's another reason it goes to Chairman Ellis's, his position is the county doesn't have jurisdiction because it is the citizenry that has requested annexation.
Well, if that's the case that the county can't do anything to stop an annexation, then I fully understand why you can't do anything.
And that's, as far as I can tell, that's where we're at.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the commission? Yes, sir.
My name is Frank Kuhn. I live at 323 Brahman Road out on Watts Bar Lake. I share a property line with the golf course I have for 28 years. It's not one of the highlights of my life, I promise you. All I would say is, first, responding to the citizenry requesting it. The citizenry has not requested it. It's owned by one person. One person has requested this, which makes it just a downhill slide. So it's going to be annexed unless the fact that the property lines don't overlap. I can't think of the word right off, but you know what I'm talking about. Just one other quick thing, and that is, we in the neighborhood, the people whose property values are going to be impacted by this, whose quality of life is going to be, we are treated like second-class citizens by the city council. The fact that we can't vote for them seems to be their deciding line as to who are the stakeholders. And I think this is a really bad mistake, and I think it's the one that they're going to regret for a long time. So we'll see what happens, but right now, the path that they're on, they've generated a determined resistance, and they've lost this fight before, and I expect they'll lose it again. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the commission?
My name is Kwasiak. I live at 113 West Cliff Court, Airman. And I don't want to take any great deal more of your time. This is the same issue I live directly across from this, and the idea of having what in essence I view as an industrial scale facility with these boat slips and the RV park really is not enjoyable. What I would actually ask is, would the council consider passing a resolution saying that they're not necessarily for this, that this is not in keeping with the neighborhood, and it really impacts the residents of the county, and it's the city that's acting. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to address the commission?
Good evening, my name is Tony Byron. Seems like this is Bowman's Bend night. I'm from Bowman's Bend, I didn't know anything about this. But I'm way up further, I'm at 200 Highland Way. I'm actually here tonight on behalf of Roane, not-for-profit company. We were incorporated this past March of 19, and we were a recipient of the not-for-profit committee of this commission's grant. And I'm here just to give you an update of what's going on. Roane, our mission statement, we're an advocate for affordable, high-speed internet access. Point 2, once we have access, we're working to get affordable digital devices in people's hands who can't afford them. Number 3, once they have access, once they have a device, we're supporting digital literacy skills training. Okay, so what have we done so far since March? We're working with the local utilities, we're working with REU in support of them. We're not an ISP, so we cannot bring broadband. We're also working with VEC, we've helped them in their surveys. And just last week, we found out AT&T has what they're calling wireless hotspots. And in just a week since we found this out, we have helped 6 people in Doxacaney Creek. You've probably heard of them. They come here every once in a while and complain. 6 of those people now, because that's all we could reach in a week, now have internet access. We've also put 4 units into, what's the one way down south? Keith Rogers lives there.
Crystal Cove.
Crystal Cove. We got 4 people in there that have internet access. So we're helping people, and it's not us, we're partnering with these people. We're also an affiliate of National Digital Inclusion Alliance. This is a national organization. Our company is now an affiliate of theirs. And what they're doing, we got our 3 mission statements from them. So what are we doing after that? We've also partnered with TVCUC, that's a nice long acronym, right? It's Telco Village Computer Users Group. And I say this with all due respect, it's a bunch of old men down in Telco Village. I'm old, so I can say that. They bring in computers, they refurbish them, and they give them, and they don't have the capacity, so they give them to organizations that can give them away. Okay, so we had our drive in October, and since then we've had a total of like 350 units we've collected in the community and taken down there. Next step after that, Roane, we can, so far we picked up 23 units, 18 have been delivered. There's only 2 requirements to get a free computer. The resident must be a resident of Roane County, have a student in Roane County schools, and not currently have a working computer in their home. So I personally have given away 17 units. And I can tell you, going to these people's homes and seeing the mothers and fathers and the kids with almost tears in their eyes that they're getting a computer free. I'm here to put this out. You can go to our website, roanenet.org, and there's an application on there. So tell your constituents. They go there, they can get a free computer. Now, if we get inundated, it's going to take us a while. But anyway, so again, broadband access, giving away units. Now, for the grant money that we received, we purchased Amazon Fire tablets and put software on them, and now we're going to assisted living homes and places where senior citizens are and giving training classes. We've been to Harriman Gardens, Jamestown Assisted Living, and Rockwood Villages Apartments and put on training classes. We bought the units for $80, and if the people who come to the training want them, we sell them for $40. And if somebody in that facility will become trained the trainer, train other people in there, we give it to them. So again, this is what we're doing. I'm here for awareness, let you know that your grant money is doing good. And we fully expect that this year we're giving away several hundred computers. As far as TVCUC, they've been in business for 10 years. They've given out 9,000 computers. And so they've been doing this a while, but we just partnered with them. So again, I just want to give you an update.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Would anyone else like to address the commission? This will be your last opportunity to address the commission unless the commissioner yields to you later on. Seeing none, we'll move forward. If there's no objections, I would like to introduce City Council of Kingston, Tony Brown and Tim Suter. They are both members of the 911 board along with myself. They will be here to introduce the new director of 911, gentlemen, if you could.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm Tony Brown, 209 Suzanne Place in Kingston, Tennessee. And I'm the chairman of the Personnel Committee for the 911 board that y'all set up in emergency communications. You know, after 19 and a half years, we had a vacancy in the executive director's position. First off, we want to say a special thank you to one of your own, Mr. Mike Hooks, who served in that capacity. I think if you let him talk, we'll be here a little longer, but as y'all well know, he's just an old country boy. And he started his law enforcement career 30-something years ago and finally decided that he wanted to retire. So the board put out applications. We had 32 applicants all across the United States, and we narrowed it down to someone local. We're pleased to introduce to you Mr. Cody Anderson. He took the position and started in January. So, you know, we're in the midst of a building project, and so he's coming in at a special time, but I would encourage you to welcome him as part of your resources if you'll put him in your toolbox and call upon him. He's busy right now, going to introduce himself to all the city councils and to all of our customers. You know, we feel like that everybody that we service is a customer. So he's getting feedback and trying to, I don't know if we can make it any better, but keep it on the same par that we've been used to for 19 and a half years.
What part of the county is Mr. Anderson?
I live on Paint Rock Ferry Road in the county.
Good. Thank you. Mr.
To
Anderson?
answer that question a little bit, originally a Rockwood boy.
There you go. I wasn't after. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here tonight in front of you all, and if I can be of any assistance, please let me know. I look forward to working with y'all. And I would like to thank Mr. Hooks for giving me the opportunity to be a dispatcher for him about 10 years ago to get my start in the 911 business. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hooks. Moving along, the county attorney's report.
Regarding the questions concerning the Kingston Point development, as county attorney, ethically, I cannot render opinions to the citizens of Roane County because I represent the county government, but I can render an opinion to you. Annexation power was granted to the cities by the legislature through statutes. There is no provision anywhere in the annexation statute that allows a county to contest annexation. Basically what happens in annexation is the city annexes property, they notify us, we're stuck with it. Later on, the city can de-annex property, they notify us, and we're stuck with it. What I would suggest that these folks do is, first of all, the issues concerning the development have to be addressed with the planning commission that has jurisdiction over that area, and that, from my understanding, is the city of Kingston's planning commission, not Roane County's. But secondly, they may want to consult their own attorney and determine if there's any basis for them to contest the annexation legally if it goes through. The only other matter that I have to report, the only litigation that we have pending now are our property maintenance suits. We had a court date last month. We took care of a great number of them. We have another court date on April 2 and then another court date in June. So we are progressing with those. As I've reported in the past, we are getting more orders from the chancellor authorizing us to go in and clean up property. And that's going to continue. It's simply because, first of all, of the volume of properties that we are prosecuting now, but also the chancellor is not putting people in jail for contempt of court. And I think his decision is correct, because the contempt of court statute says that in order to jail somebody for not following a court order, the court has to make a finding that those people have the means and ability to comply with the court order. And a lot of these people that we're seeing, they just don't have the means to spend the money to go in and bring these properties up to code. So I really think that you're going to be seeing more court orders where the county has to go in and demolish properties and clean them up. That is my report for tonight. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for the county attorney? Commissioner Hooks, then Commissioner East.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Rescue, for your report. So if we move forward and file a lien against the property or the property owner, what recourses, if any, does the county have? Or does that lien just sit there until, I mean, is it a foreclosable lien in your legal opinion, or is it just a lien on the property that'll sit there for duration?
Well, the state statute says that the lien is to be collected in the same manner as property taxes, but what I have been doing is, as we clean up, I'm getting a court order that imposes a court enforceable lien so we can go back to the chancellor and get an order of sale.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner East.
That's all I have. That's what I want.
Mr. Berry.
Mr. Lefevre, on the annexation, do the new annexation laws apply here for those folks in terms of having a say in the annexation of their properties?
The annexation laws that are in effect now apply. I don't know really enough about their situation to determine what say that they would have. It's my understanding that the owners of the property that's going to be developed requested the annexation, and the statute says that the owner of a piece of property has the authority to ask city council to annex.
So this isn't a subdivision being annexed, it's just one single piece of property that's being annexed.
Okay, well, first of all, let me preface this by, I knew nothing about this issue until 5 minutes before the meeting started. But it's my understanding that there is a subdivision development that's planned for the area, and the owners of the property that's going to be subdivided have requested the annexation. Thank you.
Any other, Mr. Meadows?
Mr. Lefevre, when we place the lien and say we don't execute the lien, how long is it valid for?
It's a judgment lien, it's enforceable for 10 years unless the property gets sold at the tax sale before then. And if we don't bid it in for the lien amount, then the lien goes away.
Is there something we can do to extend that period before the initial 10 years is up?
Yes, before the 10 years is up, you can extend a judgment lien for an additional 10 years.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the county attorney?
Thank you.
County executive report.
Yeah, just real briefly, follow on these property management or maintenance type issue. The budget committee tentatively looked at a resolution tonight before our meeting, and we'll have it, we'll review it again next month. There's no money currently in our budgets to do the cleanup, so that would have to take action by recommendation from the budget committee and county commission. So you may see a resolution next month that allows us to start working on. There's 8 cases, I think, that's been heard by the chancellor already that's ruled on, and we're anticipating about 4 or 5 more this coming month. The second thing, just to give you a little update, we have started the 2021 budget. Connie and her staff has, along with myself, she's done most of the work, of course, the first couple of months, and our budget committee will probably start meeting this month and next month as we start our budget process. As you all are aware, it's a long, lengthy process that goes through a number of steps to follow a number of Tennessee codes. The committee, of course, was established by the Tennessee Code and has certain obligations to make to this body. And that committee will be working diligently the next 3 to 4 months to get you a 2021 budget. Other than that, that's all the comments I have at this meeting.
Any questions or comments for the county executive? Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Barrett.
Census.
I
mean, we're
April the 1st, everybody needs to be counted.
We're on the down slope, and have you had any reason to believe that with the virus and things that will affect the census?
You know, hopefully that most people will be notified and they will go online and complete their census, or they will fill out the mail and send it in. It's kind of ironic, in 1980 I worked the census, and the steps is the boots on the ground doesn't start till really 4 or 5 months later as the returns get to be calculated and find out as the census takers and the workers match everything up with addresses whether someone will receive a knock on the door. So hopefully, and I would encourage all of our commissioners and the public here to fill out the census. That saves, one, a lot of money, so someone's not knocking on their door, and two, some of our state and federal money gets distributed with our census counts.
I guess the reason that I keep asking every month is I still haven't heard anything in the Rockwood area about census. And when we look at the number that weren't counted in Tennessee in 2010, there are millions of dollars left on the table. And especially for us right now, where we already anticipate a reduction in population, we really can't afford the folks that are here not to be counted. So whatever.
So the Census Committee has a representative or two from Rockwood. Dudley, you're on it. Is Becky Ruppy on it also?
If I may.
Sure.
The census director came to the council last month and addressed them, Mr. Berry, and so they're trying to put some kind of tabulations or index cards with census information onto all the utility customers, so it's going forward.
But we've got one cycle then left to get that out because it hasn't happened yet, and so if I've gotten my March bill, I'm just saying, I just think there's cause for us to, like I say, we already know we're losing population, so if we don't count what's here, then that affects our commission districts. It affects money for grants. It's really important.
I don't want to add anything to that, but to toot my own horn, I've run it on my newscast 25 times, but everybody don't get Comcast, so.
I don't get Comcast.
Right. YouTube channel, you can get that. But thank you. It's going to take some steps to get the word out, yes.
Any more questions for the county executive? Any more questions for the county executive? Seeing none, we'll move to special orders, and I'd like to go ahead and try to waive the 12-day rules. He was given 3 different ones for resolution 32008, 32009, and 32010, and they'll file in prospective order at the end of your agenda. Do I get a motion to waive the 12-day rule? Motion by Commissioner Bashir, second by Commissioner Henderson. Commissioner Bashir.
I think it's a good one, because we used to eat breakfast every Saturday morning with him there. It's about the end of it, and I really got to like it real well.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I guess the only
The only comment would be on the 12-day rule. Are they all something that that can't wait? I mean, I know we try not to use the 12-day rule unless we have to sit down, but if it's something that's, I think the Watts Bar thing, I don't know if that may be.
Right now, I got a motion and a second. Can we get my second, then we can debate?
I'm sorry, I thought you had a
So I
second.
had Commissioner Bashir's, and I had one more over here. Is it Mr. Henderson? Go ahead.
No.
Okay. Now, Mr. Berry, would you like to speak on waiving the 12-day rule?
Yeah, like I say, I just, if we keep the integrity of the 12-day rule, if it's emergencies, fine. If it's not, it looks like it would be appropriate to wait. I don't know about the sewer line deal. I know they're probably waiting on that at Midway.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman, to answer the two regarding the sewer issue, as you all are aware, you all passed $1 million worth of funding to start that project a year ago, I guess. It was a year ago in March. And so that resolution came to us after the school board met. They have been working through this process, and it came to us, I think, probably a little late in the game, that TDEC, Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, requested or demanded, I guess, that Watts Bar Utility District be the owner of the property in which TDEC needs to permit for the new sewer plant. So I guess we don't want to slow that project up. Budget committee looked at it tonight. It is something that we've talked back and forth for over 12 months on. I don't see that there's any option on it, quite frankly, as I've talked to Lee Maines and Dr. McFalls. If we can keep a construction project from being any slower than it is, I think we ought to try to do that.
Commissioner Meadows. Any comments on waiving the 12-day rule?
On Mr. Cooley's resolution, that has come before us because the Heritage Commission would like to name the courthouse, the courtroom at the old courthouse in honor of Mr. Cooley, who's been a very generous supporter of the renovation effort. So they practiced law here 72 years, and everybody knows what he's contributed. And there's a gala coming up April the 4th in which this renaming or this naming will occur, and this resolution will be read at that point and presented to the family. That's why it's on tonight's agenda and the boss notice meeting.
Any more questions or comment on waiving the 12-day rule for 328, 329, and 32010? Mr. Bell.
We don't have to, our resolution for the Heritage Committee isn't anything binding. Or am I wrong? We don't say what they do, or we can't tell what they do, what they don't do. Is that correct?
It's just us. It's a request. That's all it is.
We're not in control of anything over there, right?
You're not in control. You're just requesting that they do that. It's just a statement from commission that we support this.
Thank you. That's all.
Any more questions or comments on waiving the 12-day rule for 328, 329, and 32010? If not, we'll vote. 15 to nothing to waive the 12-day rule, so all three will be added to the end of the agenda. Under special orders, confirmation of appointment of Brenda Gray of Roane Medical Center to the Emergency Services Committee for Jason Plana of Roane Medical Center. The term will expire August 31st, 2022. Mr. Plant's currently on the Emergency Service Board, but does not feel that he has the time to commit to be on that board, so we'd like to place Brenda Gray from the Roane Medical community, from the Roane Medical Center to that board in his place. Motion by Commissioner, let's see, we got Commissioner White, Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner White.
She's well qualified for the job, and I'm glad she stepped up.
Commissioner Wilson.
I concur with that. I talked with her last time. She's willing to put in the time and effort, and we appreciate it.
Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and vote. Waiting on you, Mr. Hooks.
Now, here's Ricky Day.
$15 to nothing. Ms. Gray has been appointed. Moving along, confirmation of appointment of Joe Bell Master to the Roane County Library Board due to the resignation of Barbara Marshall. The term will expire June the 30th, 2021. Motion by Commissioner Berry. Second by Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Berry.
Yeah, Ms. Masters is a retired school teacher for many, many years in the system, and I think will do a great job, just as Ms. Marshall did.
Commissioner Cunningham. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and record the vote. Confirmation of Joe Bell Masters has been approved. Moving along, no zoning resolutions. Moving to old business, Resolution 2, 2015, a resolution to authorize the purchase of the former Bank of Roane County building at 320 North Kentucky Street, Kingston, for the location of Code's office. Have a motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner Hendrickson. Commissioner Hooks.
Mr. Chairman, I want to offer an amendment to the motion if,
Let me get a second on the floor first. I had one by Commissioner Hendrickson, but he must have withdrew it.
It went away.
You just
Push it
need,
again.
you need a second on the motion to amend, sorry.
Okay. Well, he's got, so we got a motion by Commissioner Hooks and a second by Commissioner Hendrickson. So he's got a motion to amend. So go ahead and state your amendment then.
do we got a second?
We got a motion and a second on the main resolution by Hooks and Hendrickson. Now, you'd like to make a motion to amend, correct?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. And I took the opportunity to go over and review go through the building, walk through the building, and also took the opportunity to walk upstairs and go through each space / office space that's up there, and done a little bit of research. And what I'd like to do, I'd like to amend this resolution to authorize our county executive to undergo a negotiation with the property owner up to $800,000.
Mr. Hooks would like to amend Resolution 2/2015 to have the county executive negotiate up to $800,000 for the property. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Cunningham. Commissioner Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My further research, I called an architect firm just to ask some general questions as to what we could build that space out for with that amount of square footage. He said bank space is looking, he said just looking at $300 per square foot. At 5,700 square feet, that would be in a range of $1.7 million if we built that building out today. And a plain Jane office space building, same square footage, to build it new at 200, this is plain Jane, at $200 a square foot, would be $1.1 million to build the same square footage, and that would be plus parking. I was advised the parking based on the layout of the property, whether or not retaining walls would have to be put in place, but just go in, put in parking space, $2,200 per parking space is what the going rate is. So if you multiply that by 38 parking spaces at the bank building, that's an additional $83,600. So, like I said, I'm not the expert. I called an expert that does this every day, draws these plans up, puts them out for bid, and you know, with our parking problems here at the courthouse that we've talked about for years, trying to find space for overflow parking. Y'all been in the courthouse. I've been visiting this courthouse since 1988, and it's not gotten any better. It's not gotten any better. So, you know, I know it's debatable, but, you know, if we want to service the people, this building is designed to where that he could house multiple offices, which would free up parking for court parking. It could do a lot of things, and this is my thought. I done some homework, and I came down and I went through the building, and the building needs some cosmetic work, but any building that you go out there, used building that you go out there and purchase, you will have to have cosmetic work done. You have to rectify that building for what you're going to use it for. And that's my comments, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Cunningham.
I'd just like to say that is still well below the appraised value, so I think that that's a good motion. I think we ought to move forward on it.
Mr. Berry.
Wow. You know, when we look for property, it's been said. I think Mr. Kirkham says this is probably one of the best locations in Kingston. That the lot's worth $750,000 without the building. It's in excellent shape. My selling price is what the county property assessor's office has it assessed for. I think the property assessment probably is for a bank. You know, and I guess, I guess when you look at the inspection, it looks like a home inspection company did the inspection. I guess a couple of things that caught my eye was using binoculars to do the top of the roof. And actually, we've got to get other inspectors to find fault with what he found, because obviously he wasn't prepared or licensed to do those things. So basically, the inspection report, I don't know what we paid for it, but it never mentioned whether there was mold or the lack of mold. I think I've heard from numerous people that there's probably mold there, but he didn't indicate whether there was or wasn't. I think if we want to service Roane Countyans, we don't spend $875,000, because he's made it pretty clear he's not coming down. That's his, I stand firm at $875,000 price that we negotiated, because he's come down, I think, $140,000, $145,000. So really, he started out at $1,020,000. So he's come down to $875,000, and that's his final bid. So obviously, there's no room for negotiation. I just can't imagine, because you've got to go in and at best retrofit that building for whatever we're going to do for offices and things. Who knows what that's going to be? He says that his price is going to give us money to do that with. I've probably had more phone calls concerning this than I have anything since I've been on county commission over the years. I think people in our county, we're talking about losing population. We're talking about tax rates, and I guess this million, Mr. Woody, did we take this million out of the reserves? Is that where this was coming from? Was that bond part of the bond? So we borrowed that. I just think if we're going to be responsible and take care of taxpayers' money, this isn't the way to do that. It's not a dire, and perhaps as we go through the jail study process, we may find another option. I think we ought to explore every possible option before we spend $1 million of taxpayer money to keep some folks from having to inconvenience them for either parking in the parking lot or bringing mud into the courthouse. I think we can do a lot of cleaning for $1 million. We can do a lot of incidental parking or whatever for, and I guess I would ask Mr. Cofer, do we get a lot of big trailers into your parking lot?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how many? I mean, would you guess every day or?
On a daily basis, somebody comes in with a trailer.
Okay. What did they do when we had them on the third floor to begin with? So we've actually improved them when we went across the street. And perhaps, perhaps we can even still use the coach building after all is said and done for the jail. I just think there's a lot of things that need to go into this thing before we do it. Obviously, there's no question that's probably a good building if you want a bank building. We don't need a bank building. So folks before us have made bad decisions with the jail. We all can agree to that. It's history. But let's not have this commission go down that same road and in 10 years, have a commission tell us that we did a bad decision on what we've done. We're fixing to buy some really expensive property. We're getting into 4-plexes, 8-plexes. So I would urge you to vote no on this tonight. In fact, I would make a motion that we table this resolution.
We're on an amendment right now.
We need to vote on the.
Need to vote on the amendment right now. Any more, Mr. Meadows? Are you through, Mr. Barry, on the amendment? Mr. Meadows?
Here are my thoughts on that, and I appreciate Commissioner Cook's research into this. And yeah, $300 a square foot commercial space that's built for banking purposes is right where it probably needs to be. But that doesn't take into account, I mean, that's brand new. And this is a 47-year-old building. It's going to take some renovations and take some other expenditures to bring it to our needs. In the last couple of weeks, I've identified a couple of pieces of property that could be usable for this purpose for about $350,000. I mean, you're looking at $500,000. We can't ignore that. We're in a budget crunch unlike we've seen in probably decades. And I just don't think that the money's there. We have to, even if we, as a body, wanted this property, I'm not sure that it'd still be the right decision dealing with it here and now of the budget situation. There's been talk about Molly's and the assessors value that. I think our value's spot on, but that is the building as it's being used as a going concern. It has more value. It's set on the market for a year or so before there was any activity. The value paid was $550,000. To me, that's what it's worth. There's no better indicator than the previous price that was within, let's say, a year of it being offered now. The economic life, and we're probably more than halfway into the economic life of the property, so we'll need some upgrades. Like Mr. Berry, I've had more calls on this issue even than the schools, and that's really surprising to me, but both the inside and outside my district, and I have been to not go with this property. Another thing that we're not considering is this is a good piece of property for the city of Kingston. That would take yet another piece of property off Kingston's tax rolls. So I think there's other alternatives. I think we do need to move ahead quickly because we are under a time crunch. But I just don't think that this is a venture that we can afford. That's it.
Mr. Bailey?
I think it's absolutely crazy that we're even thinking about offering $800,000 to a retail place or a bank building for codes. We want to talk about parking. We got two $2,200 parking spots over here for a state entity that we shouldn't have anything to do with. Come in this morning, tough to find a spot. Both our state probation service had them a spot to park. That's not county, that's state. You know, it is absolutely crazy in my mind that we can even think about spending $800,000 on a codes building. And, you know, and I can sit here and beat it to death. I, by far, have had more calls and more stuff, people coming up to me, coming to my house, emails, messenger, about this issue. I bet 70% more than the schools or the jail or anything that we've done. This is the highest priority thing since in the 6 years I've been here. I can't wrap my mind around it. You know, I sit and think about the last 2 years. How much have we raised taxes in the last 2 years, Mr. Woody? Do you know?
I think we raised them 11 cents last year.
11 cents. What about the year before? Since the new commission's come on?
I don't think we raised taxes with that 11 cents.
11 cents.
We've been on for 6 years.
Pardon?
We've been on for 6 years.
We've been,
Me and Bill and us that came on, so in 6 years, how much have we raised taxes?
I don't recall.
Well, anyhow, 11 cents, you know, I think it's more, but let's say 11 cents, you know, we just keep going up and up and up and up. Oh, this won't raise taxes tonight, but it will in the future. And I hope all you commissioners understand that, especially the new ones. This will cause a tax hike somewhere down the road. There's a whole lot better options. There's the third floor. All right, I've had a call about that. One single call about that not working. We can pick that house up, the $300,000 house, a little white house or whatever it costs to do it. I seen it in the paper, 8 years ago. We can pick that house up and move it across the street to property we own for under 50, I bet you. I bet you. We can go an eighth of a mile down the road right here to Fraker's Funeral Home. There's 2 lots right across the street, one site ready. I talked to Commissioner Moore, asked him, because I know he's in the business of doing trailers for the plant, which all their prices are jacked up there, and he can come up with a commercial plant that's wired, geared, ready to go. That's bigger than this place we got here for right around 90,000. You can get that lot out there for 100,000. We're at 190,000, and that's step 3. I say third floor. We can move the house for under 50, right across the street, or we can go with that option, which is $800,000 is ludicrous. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. In my eyes, we've had some talkings, and we know that he's probably going to take $800,000. And it's ridiculous. It just keeps going up and up and up. Some of these commissioners might not be contacting some of the new commissioners and saying, hey, we need to do this, but some of their friends might be talking to you and saying, hey, this is a good idea. Beware. They did me that way for 4 years. They finally stopped coming to me. I ain't giving in to this political overthrow of people trying to make money off government. It ain't happening. No more money. I ain't having it. This is absolutely ridiculous if you think we need to spend $800,000 on a codes bill. It's ridiculous. That's all I've got to say.
All right, quick, Mr. Hendrickson. I have got arrangements made for all the commissioners to tour the third floor at this moment if you would like to. Is there any commissioners that would like to go do that? We've heard talk about it quite a bit. We have, Kenny's got the keys and Molly's here to show her space. If there's anybody who would like to.
Mr. Chairman, I have toured the third floor.
Okay. Is there anybody that's here that would like to? Just letting everybody see that what spaces we have available.
I think we've all been on the third floor at some time or another, I think.
Okay. Mr. Shears, you want to see it?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else like to see it?
Well, these going on. Go.
Okay, let me let you know, we'll take a brief recess, but let me caution you, while we're up there, Kenny and Molly could speak, but I've been advised that there's no conversation amongst ourselves, okay? We're gonna take about 15-minute recess. Okay, we're back on resolution 2/2015 as amended.
It hasn't been amended yet.
Well, we're getting ready to vote on whether to amend it or not. So what's on the floor right now is an amendment to 2/2015. Any more discussion? The amendment was to authorize the county executive to undergo a negotiation with the property owner not to exceed $800,000. Mr. Moore.
Well, it's sort of ironic that I think it seems like we need one of those somewhere. It's been, how have I already made my statement? And a good reporter called me the other day and I didn't know any different than just say what I felt. So I put that in the paper. I'm certainly against it. I think it's bad financial judgment on part of any kind of a governing body, especially local. I too, I don't get many calls, because most people know how I feel before I leave, but I've probably got more calls, and I don't care to tell how I feel about anything, whether it's schools or whatever. But I've probably had more local people that surprised me to call about this. I'm glad to see that they're more in tune with what we're doing. And it just don't seem like that there's a lot of people that thinks much about this. So that's not my determining factor. I mean, that just shows me that I'm on the right side, and that makes you feel good sometimes. But I know that y'all passed the money for $1 million to borrow, so of course I'm sure you've got to spend it, okay? Because that's what you borrowed it for, to spend it. So you're going to spend it.
Mr. Chairman, he was kind of addressing me.
No,
You all,
I live around
Hold on 1 second, one at a time.
Take it however you get it. You usually spend it. Y'all have borrowed $1 million, so you have to spend it. I'm looking at any one of you that voted for it. I did, and won. But it's like, well, we've already borrowed it, we've got to go spend it. So let's go buy that most expensive thing. I personally think Mr. Coper, I talked to him not long ago when he left here, and he said, well, we're satisfied with where we are. We're not asking about a different place. So it looked like to me that's part of the inhabitants there that's okay with it. So there's people in Roane County that moved the building, and last I thought that when you bought that piece of property on the corner, that I thought was probably a pretty good buy, as a matter of fact, that was what it was said it was going to be, to put codes on that corner and use their existing place for a laydown. So obviously somewhere in the middle between all of that and the last meeting, somebody came up and decided to buy that $875,000 building. That I would venture to guess, if we looked at the map, is probably in the floodplain, okay? It'd be hard not to be up being in that watershed of that building up there. The jail is even in kind of a bad shape for that, so I can imagine you can drive by the back of it and see the red mud in the back door. So I'm not going to bash the building or whatever, I'm just going to tell you, it's a bad business decision by any of you. Now, y'all got reasons you want to vote for it, that's entirely up to you. But I would never, and I've got 2 more years left after August, and y'all can spend all the money you want to, because I can get in my car and drive out of this county, and y'all can bankrupt it if you want to, and spend all the money that you and your friends want to figure out what to do. And that'll be yours at that point in time. But I'll never vote for it as long as I'm still here, as long as I'm sitting behind this. And I've got to go home and go to bed and lay down and sleep at night, and knowing that there's people that can't buy their medicine, but it's okay for us to spend $875,000 or $1 million or $23 million. Just because we think that's the right thing to do. So that's what you got elected for. I'd say if that's your conscience, you just vote it however you feel. But I would tell you, I wouldn't support it if it's the last thing that I had to do. So that's my feeling about it. Mr. Woody, I don't have anything personally about you, but you tend to have to spend the money, okay? We don't get to write checks, so I wouldn't address anything to you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Mr. Moore, is that all?
I'm through.
Expenditures out of our office is only authorized by this body.
I understand that, but you get to write the checks.
I have to write the checks.
That's my point.
Mr. Barry, you want to write a check?
Not for this. Not for this. I go back to, I guess, 2009. That White House probably cost some folks an election, because we've got $300,000 in renovations in that house. And that's why I was asking you before, let's don't make the same mistakes again. I mean, they made that mistake. That house is there. And we still don't know exactly where we are on our jail. I think the other thing is if this passes, let's make sure that we get the carrots that were tossed out to us, because they've said they were going to spend $875,000 bringing some new industry in to the area. So let's make sure that we get that if this for some reason passes. But again, guys and gals, this seems like a decision that, if you took economics 101 or real estate 101 or whatever, this just has an odor to it. So I would urge you, please vote no.
Commissioner Hendricks, I'm not sorry that we didn't get back to you. You were the first in line at 5:30. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think everybody pretty well knows how I feel. I've got plenty of emails, phone calls, everything else, just, begging please to go against this. And the taxpayers are speaking. They're tired of being plugged for every last dollar they got. So it's time we quit wasting this money. And I'd like to yield the floor to Glenn Cofer.
The only thing I have to say about this is, guys, wherever we go, we've got to have proper access and stuff to our offices for our contractors. The third floor is not an option. It will not work. This is the first time I've been asked by anybody up here whether or not where you're going to try and put us would work. Third floor won't work. Now, whether the bank building is where we go and renovations are done there, I don't care, okay? But what I do care about is my employees and the people that we serve out of our office. And, trying to bring us back into the courthouse and try to put us on that third floor when there is no space on the third floor, we will not fit in there. Now, is there some other options that we could look at? Yes, there is other options that could be looked at. And I'll be glad to go look at anything that you guys ask me to look at and tell you what my opinion is. I just appreciate, for once, being asked on this situation. So, if anybody has any questions for me about what my office needs are, please ask me. I'll tell you. We have looked at other options that had a presentation that we did before the Codes Board for basically a 2,700 square foot facility with a brand new parking lot and everything. And what most of you don't think about is, hey, that parking lot is not cheap. The engineering, the design is not cheap. That has to be done for the site plan prep and everything if you build a new facility. Okay, so the thing is, I'm not going to get involved in whether you guys make a decision on that bank or not. I don't have an opinion on that. I just have an opinion on, hey, we need to make sure that my employees and the people we serve are taken care of. Thank you.
Commissioner Hendricks.
I have nothing further.
Commissioner Bell.
The only resolution that's out here, and there's an amendment on this from Mr. Cofer's, an $870,000 bill. Nobody's made an amendment for the third floor. But when you have one crazy, you got to put another crazy down here to combat that. Nobody here has put any amendment saying third floor. But if we're going to go crazy out here, we're going to have to go down here and start at the bottom and work our way to some type of happy medium. Would you agree? So we start at third floor if that option's out, then we look at moving that building right across the street that you say is sufficient. move it right across the street if that falls out because of money. But we don't, I'm not sitting here saying that we just jump right into an $870,000 dollar building. That ain't the right procedures, and I'm not gearing this to you, but I just want you to hear, I haven't amended anything to say third floor, but I have said third floor before I spend $870. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So, that being said, courthouse, thank you for what you do. I have to try to do my job here to do what's best for your money and my money.
I understand that.
So, don't take the third floor personal, but that's the way I'm gonna swing, you know what I mean? That's just the bottom line. I'm gonna start at the bottom and work my way to the top. Matter of fact, we don't even know if we're gonna vote on a jail or not, so it's really not, it's a moot point right now in my eyes. But the courthouse is here for all our businesses. All our little places are in one place, which is what best serves our community, in my opinion. They walk in, they can get anything they want inside this courthouse. Codes, I would say probably does need to be moved away from this crowded position. But the courthouse is where we service the people with the fees and all the other stuff that we do. I've talked to a couple of people over the offices throughout the courthouse. I work here just about every day, if I'm not in Loudon, Meigs, or Morgan. I haven't seen or heard anybody that says they're wanting to move out and take their office somewhere else. You know, at the end of the day, we've got to look at $800,000. And where are we leading? Where are we leading this county to with an $800,000 purchase? You know, Mike Hooks thinks we can spend $800,000. I just don't see it. I don't see it. You know, I definitely am very surprised knowing that you're running for office and you put that up there. That's your business. You know. If this is your campaign slogan.
Point of order, we're deviating from the resolution.
Yes, Mr. Bell, could you please bring your comments back to the amendment that's on?
No, I'm finished. I'm done.
Mr. Wilson.
I'll make this quick because this horse is so dead and beat to death that I just don't think, and I've got to go to work. And I've been talking about it a little bit, so, but I do want to give you a little something. The White House, the infamous White House was my grandmother's, my father's. It was claimed on eminent domain. We spent over $350,000 on that house that my dad absolutely thought, excuse my French, was asinine. If you know my father, he would have never used those words. But it was done, and if we own the property, and this is not deviating from what we're talking about, because I want to focus back in. If we own the property that's adjacent to it, we could feasibly move that house to that location and do whatever modifications need to be done. If we need that property in the future, we own the property, we own the building, we can move the house again. We can save the money on $875,000. We can move forward and have money to put towards the jail, which we're in dire need of doing. Amen. So that's it. My horse is dead. Thank you.
Mr. Gann.
Yeah, I think as what Ben said, we talked about this last month. I think we covered for about an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes. We've been going at it now for 40 minutes and we're at the same place we was last month. I think we just need to go ahead and take the vote. I really do. I think we've spoke about it enough. I think we're getting personal with some things we don't need to be getting personal with. So I think it's best if we just call this the question and take the vote. I call the question, let's take the vote.
Okay, this is a call for question on the amendment. We'll try to do this as a voice call for question on the amendment. All in favor to call for question on the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. So question is being called on the amendment. Are we ready to vote on the amendment or adjust the resolution to let the county executive authorize him up to $800,000 to negotiate on the building? Has everybody understood that's what a yes votes for? So we'll take the vote. Amendment fails. Moving on to the motion, Resolution 2/2015, resolution to authorize the purchase of former bank building, Roane County building at 320 North Kentucky Street, Kingston, for the location of the codes enforcement officer. So we're back on the regular resolution that was not amended. Motion by Commissioner Hook, second by Commissioner Hendrickson. That was our original motions. Mr. Hooks, Mr. Hendrickson, or anyone else? Mr. Bell?
I move that we table this resolution.
Mr. Bell makes a motion to table Resolution 2/2015. Second by Commissioner Berry.
Just for the record, do you mind to hit motion to amend and I'll do a table and that way we can vote?
I got a request to speak right now.
Okay, sorry. You don't have a motion to amend on your screen?
I do
That's
not.
okay, I can do it manually.
All right.
Thank you, though.
So, motion by Commissioner Bell to table, second by Commissioner Berry. Commissioner Bell.
Nothing. I think we beat the horse.
Commissioner Berry.
I agree, and I guess I'm thinking back to some time ago, this very piece of property came up before, and we weren't interested then, so I'm not sure why we would be as interested now, plus the fact, I think it was mentioned earlier, we're taking $4,000 off of Kingston City's tax rolls, and, before we're done, Kingston's not gonna have much of downtown on the square here left, because we're gonna own it off. So I would just urge you to vote no.
Mr. Hendrickson, on the motion to table.
I personally think we just need to vote on this thing and put it to rest. That's all I wanted to say.
Got a motion and a second to table at the moment. Any more questions or comment on motion to table? If not, we'll take a vote on the motion to table. Voting yes is we're going to table this. Motion has been not to be tabled, is that correct? By a vote of 7-8. So we're back on the motion. It would take 8 votes to table. So we're back on the motion of Resolution 3/2007. More question or comment on Resolution 3/2015? There's no more question, we'll go ahead and vote.
No question.
Okay, I got a motion for call for question from Mr. Hendrickson. Do I got a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We'll call for question now. We're voting on Resolution 2/2015. Yes vote is to authorize, no votes, no. Take the vote. Resolution fails by a vote of 4-11. Moving along, Resolution 2020-01, a resolution authorizing the county attorney to file a lawsuit regarding the properties as listed on attached case request form by violating Roane County Resolution 12-1805 and/or Resolution 12-1806 regarding 2018 International Building Codes and the 2018 International Residential Codes. Motion by Commissioner Moore. Second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Moore.
I yield. Building inspector, if there's any question on that. Read where it was at.
If anybody has any questions, I'll try and answer them for you.
Any questions for the building inspector? Commissioner Moore, and Mr. Meadows.
I have nothing to add. I just think we need to carry on what's been proposed.
Yes,
Go ahead,
say something. In regard to the councilor's comment earlier, and county executive, I guess we're gonna have to start finding money to pay for these. We may need to look at those and exhaust all efforts we can to talk to people before we just arbitrarily send them to court, I think. I don't know how we do that is different than this, but it looks like making a loan sometimes. You kind of got to make a decision on whether or not it's a good loan or not, so before you turn something over.
I promise you, Mr. Moore, we make every effort to try and get this taken care of without getting to that point.
We have to start paying taxpayers' money and all that.
I totally agree with you on that.
Mr. Meadows.
Real quick question for Mr. Lefevue and Mr. Cutler. Is there any other counties that you're aware of where the chancellor or whoever has taken jail time off the table as a potential punishment, and how they're handling their properties as a result?
I'm not aware of any, and the counties that I practice in are Roane, Morgan, and Meigs, and we have the same chancellor and all those things.
Might be something we want to do. We'll look at maybe see if there's any other areas in the state that have the same issue and how they're handling it, so maybe we're not having to reinvent the wheel.
Any other questions or comments? 32001. Seeing none, Madam Clerk, take the roll. Resolution 32001 is adopted. Resolution 32002, a resolution authorizing the county attorney to file a lawsuit against each property owner regarding the properties as listed on attached case form by violating Roane County Resolution number 2101, April 2013, regarding the Roane County zoning regulations, and/or Resolution 11403 regarding overgrown vegetation and accumulated debris. Motion by Commissioner Hester. Second by Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Hester.
Picture speak for yourself.
Commissioner Moore.
I have never seen that, no different than before.
Any more questions or comments on 32002? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, take the roll. Resolution 32002 is adopted. Resolution 32003, a resolution to place in surplus timber for 2 areas located adjacent to the Roane County landfill. Motion by Commissioner Moore, second by Commissioner Meadows. Commissioner Moore.
Only to speak to that just a little bit. I guess I just haven't seen this for the first time. I'm just curious if somebody, if the county executive or whoever, why do we need to cut the timber, or what are we doing to take the timber off of that? What is the reason for it, I guess?
So it was brought to our attention that they're doing adjacent timber cutting, and we had mature timber here, and the person who said he, they'd be of course glad to cut it. We then started looking at it. We talked with TDEC of what we could and could not. We had some mature timber, and then we consulted on behalf of somebody to cruise the timber possibly. We just got boundaries. It is pretty mature timber. We're going to leave a border around the landfill, a border around where the firing range is for the sheriff's department. So there's property there. It has timber on it. We can choose to cut it or not cut it. So it was brought before the property committee, and Lynn Farnham's here, she dealt with, I guess, the forester and whomever to find out if it's something we wanted to do or not. if we're gonna cut it in the next number of years, it may be easier to cut, and let them come in from the adjacent property owner than come across ours.
I know I do environmental work, and I don't consider myself an environmentalist, but I sure hate to see us just go up there because we got mature trees, put an awful lot of oxygen back in the air, just, sort of, we're not that bad in need of money yet, but, however.
I understand, I've got some timber on some of my property, I won't cut it because I don't want to damage the rest of the property trying to get it out.
That kind of bothers me a little bit as being a entity here, being done good for the world and the air, and then we're gonna go cut trees. They're cutting a 60-acre swath back behind my house. It's 80 acres of timber that probably never been cut, and it's just a shame to see those beautiful logs come out of there that were trees. I just hate to see that unless it's, it's just necessary for something, and just for, because somebody's close by to do that, there's a lot of people cut every tree that you got if you want them to, so.
Yeah, just because they're close by wouldn't mean they'd get the bid to do it anyway.
That's right. I think I would have second thoughts about that from my point, so I'm good.
Mr. Meadows and Commissioner Reeves.
On this particular motion, I don't have really strong feelings from one way or the other, but like Mr. Woody said, will be in the area at that time, and it has gone to the committees for our consideration. So is there any amount of money that's been mentioned as to what a potential price would be on those logs?
The only thing we have is what I guess, Lynn, these numbers came about by talking to
Oak Ridge Hardwood.
Oak Ridge Hardwood. I mean, the contracted services there, we would pay somebody to cruise it and get us an estimate of what it is. That's generally about 10% of what you anticipate getting from it. And did you ask one or two people who cruise it to look at it, or did they quote it or something?
I contacted the Jake Allman that has a business out on Gallagher Road that was recommended to me by the State Forestry Office.
Commissioner Hendrickson.
Mr. Woody, didn't we clear some trees in Swamp Pond Day for sale?
No, we did not. The property we had leased from TVA, it was not it wasn't a cut. We just did some dozer work out there.
Okay.
So it was not, it wasn't a timber that was sellable, I guess.
Thank you.
Mr. Bell.
How old is the timber? Do we know?
I don't know. I haven't personally been out there. This is worked through committee and stuff. The only thing, if anybody's got any timber, that you know that if it's mature, a lot of times you need to cut it because
Sure, that's what I'm asking for.
My little farm, that little 5 acres, I'm losing that timber because of disease. And same thing could be happening here. I don't know.
I couldn't, I hate that too. I hate to see trees get cut unless they're just old, they're starting to die, and it's just time, all trees are gonna die, and most of them. But I hate to see them go if they're not ready to go. That's all I got.
Commissioner Hendrickson.
I've done spoke.
Okay. Commissioner Reeves.
I was asking Mr. Woody, are there any help coming down the landfill road that they just blacktop with all these trucks, the weight they've allowed them to haul?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think, and we haven't probably gone this far on it, but we would ask them not to come through our property on it. And, that to me would be a great amendment to this resolution, that it would be subject to being able to not come through the landfill area there. And the adjacent property owners may not allow us to come through theirs.
Well, I make a motion to amend that with the motion that we've had difficulty in past on county roads down there at 58. They destroy and tear up our newly paved roads. When you cut an 80,000-pound tractor trailer there, don't take many loads for it, to tear up new pavement. So I'd make that amendment for, that they don't use their property to transfer, and that they repair any road damage if they do.
You mean public roads?
Public roads, yeah.
Commissioner Hester's amendment is that the hauling company not use public or county roads in the process of their logging.
Well, I mean, no, they can use the public road, but if they would repair any damages made.
So whatever roads that they use, they are repair whatever damages they cause. That would be your amendment.
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
You second that? Second by Commissioner Hendricks.
I got just a question for our counselor. Can we make that a stipulation on a public road?
Well, no, but maybe yes. What you're talking about here is entering into a contract with this company. Legally, if a logging company messes up your road, the legislature has provided a mechanism where you can sue the logging company for damages if you can show that they negligently messed up your road, which is sometimes hard to prove if you've got an old worn-out road to start with. But if you are entering into a contract with this logging company where they're getting your trees and you're getting some money, then I could foresee that there's nothing that would prohibit them from agreeing to fix the public roads in exchange for getting the county's trees. So I think that you could legitimately put that in a contract.
So the amendment could stand. So that was amendment by Commissioner Hester, second by Commissioner Hendrickson. Mr. Hester, anything further on the amendment?
No, I would yield to Mr. Brown. I know in the past we've had that issue, have we not, Mr. Brown, with logging companies?
Let me, if I may ask to put a twist on this. So if in fact the person who had the adjacent track was timbering the adjacent track in RS2, his defense would be, if I tore the road up, I did it on somebody else's property, not yours. Somebody else's hauling, not yours. I mean, would that be that would be the defense he would have. If I was the timber cutter, I'd say, yeah, I tore the road up, but I didn't do it hauling yours, I did it hauling the other guys. You know, how could we successfully win that, I guess?
Well, first of all that you could do was make them an offer. You can have our trees, you don't use our land, but the conditions are you get our trees without using our landfill road. And if you damage any public roads while getting our trees, you fix them. And then it's going to be up to the logging company to work a deal out with the adjoining landowner to use his property to access the county's trees. So basically all you can do is make the company an offer with those stipulations. They can either accept it or reject it. If they accept it, then they can find their own way out.
No, I guess what I mean is they find their own way out. Yeah, they don't come on our road, they find their own way out, but the other road they go is a public road. And, you know, one load's ours, one load's somebody else, and they're always gonna argue, well, if there's any damage that took place, it took place while I was hauling the logs for the other, because chances are we would sell this as a boundary track, and they could take it out when they wanted to, and it may be commingled with somebody else if it's the same, that's assuming it's the same bidder. I mean, could we, I guess it seemed like it would be hard for us to sue and try to win when the owner would say, well, you know, that particular load that damaged this road wasn't the county's, it was John Doe's.
Okay. I'm getting lost here. Sue over what particularly? Sue over damage to a county road?
Yes, sue over damage to a county road. I mean, if we're having a contract out there and we're saying, okay, you're not coming to the landfill, but you're gonna exit to this other adjacent property owner where you're doing your timber also, and then you're gonna get on the county road there.
Okay, that's why these cases are hard, because, you know, under the scenario you provided for the contract with the timber company, you would have to show, if you're gonna sue under the contract, that they damaged the county road while removing the county's timber. Under the avenue the legislature has prepared, you still have the right to sue for damages to the county road, regardless of whose timber, if you can show that they negligently caused the damages. Now, that could mean continuing to run over the road when you see it starting to be damaged. The thing about it is in these type of cases, your damages can be depreciated based on the usable life of the road. Like, let's say it costs $200,000 to repave the road after they're through, but you've got a road that's going to need repaving in 2 years anyway. Well, that's going to reduce that $200,000 significantly.
Am I gonna be the one that says, what did we learn from that discussion?
Maybe we shouldn't timber it.
Okay, so we got a motion, or Mr. Brown, you wanna speak?
I thought you wanted
I
to
yield
speak.
to Mr. Brown for
Thank you,
discussion.
Mr. Hester. We have this problem all over the county. What you don't understand is that this has already started. And it's coming over a road that was paved 3 years ago. It's already damaged. We've already videoed it before they started. The property you're talking about is Dr. Ayler's property that borders the landfill on Casey Road. Road committee members present and past, you've been to Casey Road where it dead ends up there where Miss Poland lives. That's Casey Road. White Pine Road that goes what they're calling the landfill road was paved 2 years ago. So I'm assuming that's the only way to get in and out of there if it's over next to the firing range. So I don't know how you're going to get it out. They're using tractor and trailer trucks. The law allows them, a tractor trailer truck can haul 80,000 pounds. There's a special statute that logging trucks can go 10% over. So they're allowed 88,000 pounds. And I'm telling you that none of the roads in Roane County are built to take tractor trailer trucks at 20 and 30 loads a day.
Is that a newer law?
No. We have right now torn all to pieces Jennings Road, where Miss Sharon Brackett lives. It was a 2-inch, that's all it was, doesn't have any base. It's torn completely up. Bales Road was a tarred and chipped. It's close to this. Dr. Ayler owns that property. You cannot tell there is a road there today. The gravel's gone that was underneath the tar and chip. Down where Mr. Hester's at, that road was a year old, and those people came out of Athens, a different forestry unit, and didn't check with us at all. We then went down there, and they had made 2 trips and had rolled up every bit of the asphalt on the curves. So you've got this problem. The only way to help anybody, our representative passed a bill that restricted us from regulating this. It's the county commission's responsibility to set weight limits that y'all have chosen not to do. And we don't have any, all we do is go film them. Down at High Ridge Road, we did make them pay for the damage that they did on High Ridge Road down Salem Valley, where they make, and where they get you at is where they make the curves, they make the turns. They come onto another piece of property. So they'll be coming down Casey Road, which is a dead end. They'll be hitting Bluff Road, be coming down on Old Kingston Highway, and then they hit the main road.
Could you reiterate that about setting the limits? What was that?
a truck, a tractor trailer truck's 80,000.
But when the legislature set the commission to,
Yeah, y'all got the authority to set all speed limits and all weight limits by statute.
You might want to go look at Darman Road, they're logging that 60-acre tract out of the back over the OKOA right now.
And south of the river down Salem Valley, who used to be the extension agent, I can't think of his name right now.
all bless him.
Who? He's doing all of his.
Mr. Meadows.
Real quick, could we require a bond on this and mitigate all this?
No.
We can't require a bond?
By law.
You know, based on our discussion here, this resolution, I hate to, you know, kind of recommend something different than property. I think we probably ought to just keep our timber, let it grow.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the work the property committee did on this, and, you know, generally, I know this commission goes by their committee recommendation, but this is one we brought before them. But, you know, I'm not taking it out of my pasture field for the same reason.
And but one other thing, what they're gonna do when you put these restrictions on you to fix the road, they're gonna take it out of your money.
Yeah.
They're not gonna pay for it, it's coming out of the, if you get 100,000, they cost 60,000, it's coming out of that money.
Okay.
I got a motion to table it by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Wilson. Motion to table by Commissioner Berry.
I have nothing.
Commissioner Wilson.
Nothing further.
This is a motion to table it. Any other?
Motion to table the amendment or the original resolution?
Yeah, we're on the amendment.
On the amendment. So let's go ahead and vote on the, okay, let's go ahead and go with the amendment. The amendment was to
I can
have.
withdraw.
Withdraw,
my
okay,
amendment.
withdraw the second on that, Mr. Hendrickson, withdraw. So now we're back on the regular, resolution, and I had a motion by Commissioner Berry to table it, and a second by Commissioner Wilson.
Can we withdraw? No, the initial.
It was submitted by the property committee, so it'll have to be officially withdrawn. If it was submitted by an individual commissioner or county executive, it could be withdrawn.
We'll have to do it. Yeah, there's no internet right now.
Can you just call the roll call on this one? Just go ahead. This is to table the amendment, table the resolution. I mean to restate it, table resolution 3/2003, resolution placing surplus timber from 2 areas located adjacent to the Roane County landfill. Call the roll.
Bell?
No.
Berry?
Yes.
Rushiers?
No.
Cunningham?
Yes.
East?
Yes.
Ellis?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
It's okay, we'll beat you. We'll cover you.
This is to table it?
To get, that does away with it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Table the motion.
Hester?
Yes.
Hickman?
No.
Cooks?
Yes.
Meadows?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
12 yes, 3 no.
Resolution 3/2003 has been tabled. Moving on to resolution 3/2004, resolution to amend Highway Public Work Fund 131 to reflect additional funding that will be received from the state aid road program administered by TDOT for county highway use. Motion by Commissioner Meadows. Second by Commissioner Hester. Commissioner Meadows.
I'd like to yield to Mr. Woody or Mr. Brown, whichever is appropriate.
Yeah, I'd like to know if he's fixing to fix a road that's been damaged by, somebody logging.
Would you stay on point, please?
None of those roads that I have mentioned are part of the state street aid program. This is an additional $300,000 that Superintendent Ferguson went to Nashville and found as part of the Improved Act. It can only be used on certain roads, and it'll be asphalt money in and out. It increases our asphalt budget by $300,000.
Commissioner Meadows.
Mr. Woody, would you like to add anything?
This has been before the budget committee, and again, you have to have certain roads that are selected and approved by the state. This is one of them, I think.
Commissioner Hester.
Nothing further.
Any other comments on resolution 3/2004? Mr. Berry.
Mr. Brown, has that money?
They already been allocated for roads that we're gonna use? Or like, is?
They have already, yes.
For instance, would Williams Circle or any of those?
No.
None of those would qualify?
This money we've already put in for, it hasn't been approved yet, but it's, as soon as if you approve this, it will be to complete the paving from Anderson County, Mahoney, and Poplar Creek Road at 327.
Are there any of these monies available to do like the Williams Circle?
No.
None of those areas, nothing?
None whatsoever.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Are we back online or not?
Still on.
Okay. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Bell?
Aye.
Barry?
Yes.
Rushiers?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
East?
Yes.
Ellis?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Hester?
Yes.
Hickman?
Aye.
Hooks?
Yes.
Meadows?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
15 yes.
Resolution 32004 is adopted. Resolution 32005, a resolution amending general purpose school fund 141 reflecting changes in revenue expenditure estimates for 2019-2020 fiscal year due to CTE grants, BEP funding, donations, PC 426 payments, and other charges.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Berry.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Berry.
I'd yield to schools or anyone else who needs to address this.
This has been before the budget committee, and this is just some various little cleanup that they had in it. Grants coming in, appropriating, real common resolution.
Eric, Dr. McFall, would either one of y'all like to just cleanups? Okay. Any other name, Mr. Berry? Mr. Wilson?
Nothing further.
Any other questions, comments on 32005?
I would ask you, are we in line to receive any BEP funding increases?
44,000 that's in here.
That's in this one?
Yes.
We don't know about next year yet, do we?
No, we have not received the first BEP yet.
Thank you.
Any more questions or comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll on Resolution 32005.
Bell?
Aye.
Barry?
Yes.
Rushiers?
Yeah.
Cunningham?
Yes.
East? Ellis?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Henderson?
Yes.
Hester?
Yes.
Hickman?
Aye.
Hooks?
Yes.
Meadows?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
15 yes.
Resolution 32005 is adopted. Resolution 32006, resolution amending the Central Cafeteria Fund 143, reflecting changes in revenue expenditure estimates for the 2019-2020 fiscal year due to breakfast grant, food service equipment replacement, and other changes. Motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Wilson.
It's been for the budget committee. I'll defer to Executive Woody.
He said it well, recommended by the budget committee.
Any other questions or comments on 32006? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, call roll.
Bell?
Aye.
Barry?
Yes.
Rushiers?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
East?
Yes.
Ellis?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Hester?
Yes.
Hickman?
Aye.
Hooks?
Yes.
Meadows?
Yes.
Moore?
All right.
White?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
15 yes.
Resolution 32006 adopted. Resolution 32007, resolution amending the Education Capital Projects Fund 177, reflecting changes in revenue expenditure estimates for the 2019-2020 fiscal year due to bus grants, purchases of special ed bus, adjustment for the approved Oliver Springs project. Motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner White. Commissioner Hooks.
I'll yield to our county executive. It's been before the budget committee. Budget committee recommended.
It has, and you can see that it is a grant in here, and it also shows the appropriation of the borrowed money for the Oliver Springs project. And just to add to that, we've already distributed to Oak Ridge their share of the proceeds of those borrows.
Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner White.
Nothing to add.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners on Resolution 32007? Madam Clerk, call roll.
Bell?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
Rushiers?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
East? Ellis?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Henderson?
Aye.
Hester?
Yes.
Hickman?
Aye.
Hooks?
Yes.
Meadows?
Yes.
Moore?
Abstain.
White?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
14 yes, 1 abstain.
Resolution 32007 is adopted. Moving on to the three items we waived the 12-day rule on. Resolution 32008, resolution naming the courtroom at the old courthouse after J. Polk Cooley. Motion by Commissioner Meadows, second by Commissioner Hendrickson. And just so everybody knows, this is just a non-binding resolution. Mr. Meadows.
Everyone knows what Mr. Cooley meant to this area, the bar and the courthouse. The resolution here is in front of you. You don't need to read it. This will be given to, it's read at the April 4th dedication and a copy given to the family. I think it's very appropriate and fitting.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Yeah, I recommend that anybody who don't have tickets for the gala this year, please come and get them, and let's raise some money and save this old structure, and let's rename this courtroom to Mr. Cooley.
You gonna do the purple suit?
Any more questions or comments on resolution 32008? If not, we'll try to do a voice vote. This don't involve any type of money. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Resolution 32008 is adopted. Resolution 32009, a resolution to declare real estate and surplus transfer in Roane County, Tennessee, so that the said real estate can be transferred to Watts Bar Utility District. Motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Hooks.
I'll give it to our county executive. This is on the project at Midway.
So it did go before the budget committee, and again, this is part of the project that was approved last March, I guess, when we borrowed our first round of money for the Midway Sewer project. Just as we talked in budget committee, the school board does not have authority to sell real estate. It basically is surplus to the county, and then the county has to take action on it. The schools have asked us to, they have surplus this with the stipulation that it be transferred to Watts Bar Utility District so they can put their sewer plant down there. And this sewer plant will serve those 3 schools. So you all would be surplusing it also, and then granting that property to Watts Bar Utility District.
Commissioner Moore.
I'm ordering for that. I think we ought to do that. Get it done. It's just about 25 years too late. Maybe fix that.
Any other questions or comment on resolution 32009? Mr. Berry.
Just one quick question. Will this enable, Mickey, will this enable any other residents down there to be able to tie onto a sewer system?
Not at this time.
But future possibly?
Possibly. Right now it's the school.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, Mr. Hester?
Are we still on, scope of work to be completed by August this year?
No,
What is the completion date, sir?
we don't know yet. We're still trying to get the permits. We're still trying to get put to the state so we get the permit. My last one took 2 years to get permit.
Yeah, and one reason this was done this way, just to be clear, is that TDEC said that the development district needs to be owned in the property just still the schools, and that's another reason behind this transfer. Allows them to make a permit now.
Commissioner Hester.
Nothing further.
Anything further? No, call roll on 32009.
Bell,
Abstain?
Barry,
Yes.
Rushiers, Cunningham,
Yes.
East,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Gann,
Yes.
Hendrickson,
Abstain.
Hester,
Yes.
Hickman,
Aye.
Hooks,
Yes.
Meadows,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
13 yes, 2 pass.
Resolution 32009 is adopted. Resolution 32010, a resolution to transfer sewer line easements to Watts Bar Utility District. Motion by Commissioner Hooks, second by Commissioner Gann. Commissioner Hooks.
I think the previous resolution spoke to this one as well. I'll yield to our county executive. It's been before the budget committee, and the budget committee recommends it on.
So similar to the first one, I was kind of unclear on this, and I'm glad the school board did this. This basically allowed the utility district to work on property that is owned by the school board through this easement. It was determined not to do a survey on this because it'd be very expensive. it'd be very time consuming. So what you're saying is this is an exclusive system for the school system, and if it needs to be worked on for infiltration and such, we give them that right.
Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Gann.
Let's just get Mickey busy.
So,
Mr. Barry.
so in the future though, if the residents down there that can and want to tie on, can they?
I wouldn't think that they could. This is exclusive. This easement is property only for Mickey to work on county property, so nobody else can come on to this resolution. I don't think there's any right that they could come on to 12 acres either.
I have to have this to get to the property. Also,
Yeah.
we gotta come up with a middle school. Use their access, and that's where the sewer line's gonna be, the fourth main.
So it is a force main?
It will be from each school, yeah.
So in the future, folks could put a step system in?
Not right now, this is for the school.
I understand, but I'm saying it's,
If we could expand it, it's
I
possible.
mean, it'd really be nice for that area. I mean, if we've got a system there that they can tie on to, we need to.
It would have to be expanded is what
It
Mickey's
has to be
saying.
expanded.
Okay. Anyone else? Madam Clerk, call roll.
Bell?
Aye.
Barry?
Aye.
Rushiers?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
East?
Yes.
Ellis?
Yes.
Gann?
Yes.
Hendrickson?
Yes.
Hester?
Yes.
Hickman?
Aye.
Hooks? Meadows?
Yes.
Moore? White?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
15 yes.
Resolution 32010 is adopted. Just another note, Harriman was defeated in sub-state basketball tonight, 67-28 by Hampton. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Moore, second by everybody.